What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared podcast. I am your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, as per the usual, my lovely and loquacious special guest will be assisting me in leisurely launching you into levity, Old Legs.
How we doing, dude?
As you can see, I'm dressed in my Sunday best. It's a black tie event. We're here talking about the prestigious 93rd Academy Awards coming up this Sunday. It's finally
April. Doing the Oscars here. This is crazy. Usually we're knees deep in some mediocre early summer movies this time of year. So
yeah, everything is thrown off. And it's kind of like at this point we've already normally this time of year we've already forgotten which movie won Best Picture. You're like, wait a minute, which one did it again? Oh yeah, Parasite. And then you're like, did this happen already? So just following the footsteps of 2020, everything's just kind of thrown off. And I probably looked up the date of when the Oscars were this year probably 15 times. Because I just kept forgetting. I was like, when is it again? It's got to be, coming up here. And we'll talk about this more when we get into it. But it was just, I had to keep looking up who the nominees were, too, because we just didn't have that normal Oscars push of, October through December of the big movies, of everybody talking about them for months, and then you and I getting to see them in January. But basically hey, everybody, these are the 5 movies that we all agree are up for Oscars. But with 2020, it's just kind of an odd mix of movies that I don't think we would normally see up for awards, but I'm into it.
Yeah. So I feel like we have to talk about our feelings about the Oscars every year we do this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but it always just seems like something that makes sense to do and kind of puts the year in perspective. And with this year in particular, I will say historically, the Oscars aren't 100% directed at us.
Right.
I would say in a good year, most of the films that we enjoy, that we talk about on the show, are not typically the very lauded Oscar films. And that's not just to paint us as outside. It's getting less and less cool to be an outsider, I think. But it's interesting because I say that, and I think that's still the case this year. But also, I don't know that this group of films is necessarily for the general masses either. So I'll be really curious to see how this Oscars does, because it's sort of missing that tentpole flagship film or handful of films that are really going to drive viewership. But at the same case, when you say also there's just there's a couple really good films that I do like, especially when we start talking about Best Picture. But it's I don't know. It feels like it's missing something this year.
Yeah, there's no
again. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say there's no La La Land this year. From the jump, everybody's oh, this is gonna be the one that gets nominated for a bunch of awards, and this is gonna be the one that the lay people latch onto, and they're like, oh, this is what an Oscar movie looks like,
Right. Yeah, we're missing some of those kind of core storylines where there's an immediate favorite, and then there's backlash to the favorite, and then there's backlash to the backlash. Y'all are being way too critical of blank, and you go through that full cycle, and then it ends up you get maybe a dark horse right at the end that comes through and wins in some cases. But yeah, I don't know that we're really going to get that this year. I think it's fine, but I'm just curious to see how the show is going to do in comparison with other years. I think it's obviously going to be down. I mean, just a bunch of films were pushed to 2021. fun.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really they can do about that, but it will be curious, especially I think looking backwards in a few years
Yeah.
to really see what we think about this group of films. So
Yeah. It'll
yeah, so
be
it's Oscars.
interesting.
And anything else to add there?
No, so we're here to give you our special L Squared podcast Oscar odds for
Yep.
2021. We're going to go through certain categories. We have cherry picked the categories because a lot of them are hard to explain, or we don't fully understand what they are, or they're just flat boring.
The
So
abridged version.
yeah,
Yes.
we're giving you an abridged, an accelerated version, and we're just gonna go through the Vegas odds and see. And I'm gonna Old Legs has the odds pulled up, has the numbers there, and I'm gonna guess which one I think is the favorite, and then we'll say which ones we kind of personally would like to win for those categories. So let's do it.
Yeah. I think this will give us an opportunity. A lot of these films, like I said before, we haven't maybe talked about, or we maybe just kind of touched on in passing. So this gives us kind of a chance to talk about things as they come up here. But yeah, I would say let's go ahead and start us off here. What's our first category?
Okay. So we're going to start off with the big technical category for us, best cinematography. And the nominees are Mank, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Trial of the Chicago 7, Nomadland, and News of the World.
All right, buddy. What do you think?
This is a tricky one. There's no 1917 this year. There's no Roger Deakins. I would guess it's got to be between Nomadland and Mank, I would guess. Because those are definitely the most showy. Nomadland has a lot of very beautiful shots. So that's like the most showy cinematography. But Mank, never count out a black and white film, especially most of the Academy voters are still males over the age of 60. So a period piece, I would guess, I'm going to say I think Nomadland is probably the favorite for this one.
Okay. So you are correct.
Yes.
Nomadland is a pretty favorable favorite here. So I guess I can just to briefly, if you're not super familiar with gambling odds and how futures work. So Nomadland is a minus 400 favorite. So when I say that, that just means that you need to bet $400 to win 100. And I always think of this in terms of 100. So if it's a plus 400 underdog, that means if you bet $100, you get $400 as your payout. So that's just what that means. The higher, the more something is likely to win, the more money you have to put down to win less. So that's just your brief gambling overview. So you know like what these numbers mean when we say these types of things. But yeah, Nomadland minus 400. Mank is second at plus 350, and then long shots from there. News of the World. Did you see News of the World?
No, I think there was probably like 3 or 4 times that I was like, do I want to go see that? And then,
Yeah.
the answer was no.
I I was so happy it wasn't nominated for Best Picture because it didn't look interesting to me at all, and I was like, ugh, if it's like it looks like an Oscar movie, it's got Tom Hanks, and I'm like, I swear to God, like if it's a Best Picture, I'm gonna probably see it, and I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw that not to be the case. So you have that, and then Judas and Trial of the Chicago 7 are pretty distant there. So
Which we'll say those quite a bit coming up.
Yeah. Do you wanna do a little Nomadland here?
Okay, yeah.
It's come up a couple times, and I don't know. We haven't discussed Nomadland on the show?
I don't
Have we?
think we have, no. So this was directed by our gal Chloe Zhao, friend of the South Dakota Film Festival um, alumni.
Honorary South Dakotan.
Honor.
Honorary. That might not be like an honor
Yeah.
after 2020, but
she's
truly one of
she's
our own. She has made 3 major films now that have all featured South Dakota
and as
pretty
South
heavily. I
Dakotans
don't know what it is, but
ourselves, yeah, we're like, I just don't see it. I don't get why you have such an infatuation with this. I mean, well, I guess we'll take it,
I
but I personally don't see it.
if so here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Chloe loves uh somebody playing country music off the back of the tailgate of their truck. It's been featured in all 3 of her films, two of which I really like, one of which I love. Uh, Nomadland we'll get to, but I'm just gonna say this right now. If you're listening, if we don't get a South Dakota drop in the Eternals, if part of the Eternals is not filmed in South Dakota, we might have a problem. All right,
We're gonna have to revoke
bring
her.
us into the okay.
Yeah.
Bring us in to the Marvel universe. Okay, SD is ready. Okay, we are getting vaccinated and we're ready to get in the game.
Otherwise,
All right.
what's been the point,
So
Chloe? Like, what have you been building up towards if you're not going to do that?
I mean,
Don't leave us at the
I feel
altar.
like as the movie podcast in South Dakota, like we should, we should be
We
in the
should be
film,
featured in
right?
the film. Yeah, we should be
Just put us
talking
in as
about it.
extras, okay?
Yeah. Why not? We can even
Again, once again, what is always out like people who are not actors and Western South Dakota, okay? We can go there. All
Yep.
right. We're people that nobody knows. We're not actors. We're from South Dakota. I think we're like number 2 or number 3 in line,
Yeah.
right?
I think we had a
So
good
yeah.
shot.
Uh, if you're listening, Chloe, we'd love to help you out and become part of the Marvel universe. I promise I'll watch the movies.
He'll finally check it out.
I'll definitely watch it. Yeah, yeah, I'll get caught up. But no, she's a filmmaker that I don't know that we've really talked a ton in detail about on the podcast. Her first film, The Songs My Brothers Taught Me, is really good, and there's a lot going on in that film. And then her second film, which I really, really like, I love, The Rider, is phenomenal. And Nomadland, I was really excited for. This has been kind of like the cult darling that has like picked up all the steam and just it's very much in command now to win a lot of stuff. It's got Frances McDormand who is doing things and yeah, what did you think when you saw this film? What was your expectations and then how were they met, fulfilled? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I was kind of on the same page as you. I just obviously being familiar with Chloe Zhao and then getting that it was picking up steam as the indie darling by the time it got to me. And when I went to see it, I was excited to see it. And you know, I I don't know. I came out with it thinking like, okay. I mean, the thing is that it's a beautifully shot film. It's very pretty to look at. Um, but talking about being the wrong demographic, I myself don't even really like camping that much, So the idea of living out of and I hate like the small home phenomenon. I hate like I'm
Not
not a
a tiny houses guy.
not a tiny house guy. So the idea of living out of a van is just like the romanticism is completely lost on me. So I'm really not the right demographic for it. So I thought it was really pretty, but it didn't quite connect with me. I was sort of like the whole time you're kind of like, okay, I dig like visual storytelling. I like that there isn't just like it's mostly visual storytelling. So there's not a lot of like, hey, this is what's going on. I need to get this so that I can do this and this and this. It's just like she's just trying to like do her best to make it. And so the whole time you're like, okay, yeah, like all right, we're over here. I'm just along for the ride. And then it ends and then you're kind of like, okay, uh what was did we really like did we get anywhere with this, but I
Yeah,
don't know, what were your thoughts on it?
yeah, well, I mean, it sounds a lot like, I mean, Luke at the end of Mad Max Fury Road was like, well, what was the point, right? Like,
Yeah.
just, it wouldn't be your first bad take, right?
Wow.
Just like, what's the point, man?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't get it.
they just came back.
Yeah, they just decided they wanted water.
Yeah. Um, so I was really excited, and I just recently rewatched this. When I say recently, I mean basically right before we did the pod, because I really did want to try and kind of figure some things out with this film. I will agree. So one of the things that I was thinking about, and I think I put a lot more effort into my second rewatch. I've noticed more than any other year, I almost have to like hide my phone. And I picked up my phone at like the 44-minute mark of this one, which I like remember doing. I was like, as I was looking down at my phone and I looked back up at the screen, I was like, oh my God, I started kind of zoning out like right as the old Willie Nelson guy is starting to sing a song. I was like,
Mm,
wow, this is the exact. So um, that would certainly like qualify as a lull. But you are right that this movie is not about like romanticizing like being out in a van. It is not. I wrote this down. This is not the type of van life that I see on Instagram or TikTok, where it's
mhm.
like, come join me, and I go surfing in the day,
Yeah.
and with my cute dog, and
Mhm.
it's none of that. Uh, and then the other thing I was thinking about, which I think is really interesting, is that a lot of time. So I thought I was gonna love this movie because I just love like people leaving society.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of case in those movies, like the person that's leaving the society is like a misunderstood genius, or they're like an artist, or some really interesting individual, and it's sort of offered up as this like better alternative, right?
You're thinking to yourself, what's a timberman want with being a wiki?
Yeah, yeah,
Ask
it's
yourself.
there's there's more to see out there. Like I should quit my day job, and I don't need any of this. But in Nomadland, that's not really the case. It's This is an option, but it's maybe not better, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really provide someone with any sort of like fulfillment. Like a
Right.
lot of the characters in the film are sort of reserved to they're done trying, right? They're done trying to make it. And so
Yeah.
they've just like decided like this is it. And that is really joyless and makes me super depressed. And so I feel like a lot of that made me just not really enjoy the film a ton, which is
Yeah.
hard. So it certainly changed.
Yeah.
Um, and we can save Frances McDormand for when we kind of get there. But
Okay.
you're right. This is a very, it goes back and forth between being claustrophobic and dark and like that, like kind of cramped van feeling, and then
Mhm.
just like the entire world, which is kind of a fun contrast when you think about cinematography. But I would say that this film probably wins this category. If you guys lost track, we were talking about so, but
Yeah.
I think we need to dive into Nomadland a little bit because we are going to bring it up a couple times, and we haven't like dedicated an entire episode to it.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Okay. So the next category we have is best visual effects. And the nominees are Tenet, The Midnight Sky, The One and Only Ivan, Love and Monsters, and Mulan, the live action remake. This is tough. So the one and only Ivan I didn't see, but I think it's Bryan Cranston and Gorilla.
I didn't see this at all. I thought that was like a made up. I thought you were in like the wrong category.
No,
Like,
no,
no,
it's
that
real.
was a movie.
Yeah, I'm
So,
pretty sure it's Bryan Cranston and a
say
chimp.
anything to me right now. Like,
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
agree
know.
with anything.
Yeah, why not? Uh, Breaking Bad's been off the air for a while. Uh, but like the Midnight Sky, I haven't seen. That's one that I've wanted to, and it's on Netflix, so I don't have a good excuse not to see it. But I think that Love and Monsters, I will never see. I think Tenet probably has the most showy visual effects, and it probably is most easily accessible for the Academy voters. I think they're always going to see a Christopher Nolan film. So
Okay.
I think that Tenet is probably the favorite here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was like supposed to be easy. Like,
I'm just breaking down. Don't throw me off my rhythm. I have a pattern to this.
okay, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you haven't seen 4 of the 5 films. I mean, did you see Mulan? Like,
No, no, I
okay,
won't.
so just yeah, it's Tenet. Tenet's my guess. I saw that one. Yeah, Tenet is a minus 350 favorite, with the Midnight Sky being second. So kind of interesting with Midnight Sky. I really did like this movie, but I would not have guessed that it would have been nominated for this category because it's telling a UFO story in the 50s, which is not it's not Alien 2, style visual effects.
Yeah,
Uh, so that's interesting, but I am glad that it was nominated because I thought it was a really good film.
because it's
So,
Clooney in Antarctica, right?
oh, I'm thinking of
I know that's what you're thinking of. You're thinking of the Vast of Night.
Fast of Night.
Yeah.
Oh, Midnight Sky sucked. I saw that one. No, yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
I was gonna
Oh, that
say I didn't know that was a UFO
like
one.
I was like, wow, like Fast of
Like,
Night. Like, I'm really glad to see it get a nomination. I really
yeah,
enjoyed it.
I would have been more excited about that too. But
Yeah. You saw that one, right?
yeah, I did.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, yeah, Midnight Sky is no good.
Okay.
George Clooney wants to die alone,
And
and
just for the record, there's no UFOs in there in the Midnight Sky.
we could have just could have just gone with it.
I
You know,
should have just let it be. People would have been like,
let it go.
"Huh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't." Because I mean, again, it's like I thought. What are the odds of two movies with similar titles in the same year
Yeah.
that are UFO movies set in the 50s? Like,
Full disclosure, like we don't practice this or rehearse
correct.
it
Not at
or
all.
really put much thought into it at all. We just
Nope.
sort of like, here's the category.
Yep.
We've been watching movies for the last 12 months almost nonstop. So you'd think that we'd seen a couple by now, but
No.
you know.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, Tenet's gonna win. So
Yeah.
good
So
for Tenet.
right. Good for you. All right.
Yeah.
Next category is the best adapted screenplay. And so, for those of you that don't know, that means that a screenplay which was adapted from a previous work, typically it's a book or a play, but it could be any property. So, Mortal Kombat might be up for the awards this coming year, for the
Wow,
video game.
coming out. It's
Yeah,
a big for us.
yeah,
At the Oscar show, we're
yeah,
gonna do a little anime.
yeah. It's a big couple weeks.
Great. So
So the nominees are One Night in Miami, The Father, The White Tiger, Nomadland, Borat subsequent movie film. I didn't realize Nomadland was based off anything. I didn't know that going into it. I'm gonna guess that the favorite is The Father because that's like the indie. Feels sort of like the indie darling that it'd probably be the easiest for the voters to understand and say, hey, this was a good adaptation. So I'm just gonna say The Father.
Okay. I'm taking it. Have you seen The Father?
No.
Okay, so this is where we're both good Academy voters.
Yeah, we're getting into character.
Father. This is actually probably how they do it too. Like if
Mm.
Luke and I, both Academy voters, we call each other, hoping one of us has seen The Father. It's just like, hey, have you seen it? Like, should I vote for it or not?
Yeah.
Like, and then we both are like, shit, neither of us has seen it. It's like, well, I don't.
Well, way better. It sounds
For it.
yeah. You're like, well, it sounds like a best adapted screenplay winner, so we might as well.
Yep, it's just probably how a lot of those conversations go. Where it's like, well, shit, I was really hoping you'd seen it, man.
Yeah.
But I haven't. It's still in that like expensive rental range, which I kind of
Right.
I've been every once in a while they'll get me, you know, The Way Back, Bloodshot, you know, the good
Yeah.
movies I gotta splurge 20-25 bucks for. But
Deep Blue Sea 3.
yeah, so this is another to get back to our category here, this is another favorite for Nomadland. Less so, but you are on the right track here. It is Nomadland, The Father, and then Borat is a 7-1 underdog. So I think you're right. It's either between those two films, and we could see a little bit. We could either see like the full sweep from Nomadland and just win a bunch of stuff, or you could see sprinkled here and there awards to different films. So yeah, one of those two.
Okay.
That's that. That's
yeah. I don't really care who wins that category. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. For the record, I don't have a favorite in that one. So,
Okay.
whoever wins, I'd be funny if Borat won. I guess
That'd be funny.
it'd be funny. I'd be laughing.
It could win a lot of awards. It's
Yeah.
it's nominated a bunch of times.
Yeah, it could.
Okay, what's our next one?
All right, so this is Best Original Screenplay. This is one of our favorites.
Yep. Where the good movies come from.
Yeah, this is always the category of like for me it's like this is that what should win Best Picture but will never win Best Picture. That's what this is a lot of times. But the nominees are Sound of Metal, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Judas and the Black Messiah, and The Trial of the Chicago 7.
What's your feelings?
This is tough.
This is a little bit. It's a tricky category, I think.
Yeah, there isn't like.
And so have you seen all these films? Let's start with our first Academy voter.
I haven't seen Promising Young Woman, but I've seen the rest of them.
Okay.
So better than I have been doing. I think that this is a tricky one. I think that I'm just tempted to pick what I think is the best movie out of this bunch.
Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah. I'll just say I'm gonna pick Sound of Metal as the favorite.
So you're not wrong, but you're definitely not right.
Damn.
So
It's tough because
this
there
one's a
isn't
tough one.
one that's like
For
more original than another one, you know? Like there's some
well,
years where like go ahead.
that and I mean, you didn't see Promising Young Woman, so
That's
I don't
true.
know how you would know that would be the favorite if you're just so. Yeah, Promising Young Woman is the favorite at -400, followed by fucking hold your breath. Trial of the Chicago 7, which
Really?
maybe we can get to here in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst films I've seen this year. Minari at 12-1, and then Judas and your pick, Sound of Metal at 33-1. So
Damn.
it's
That's
not
way
looking
down.
good for your movie there, but
Hmm.
um, Promising Young Woman, I actually get. I really get this because um, in terms of writing, this is this was the script and the film that I thought probably took the biggest chance. And I know that the way that the film ends is extremely divisive for some people. I'm not going to spoil it here, but it is really worth the watch for obviously for Carey Mulligan, and then just giant 7'3"
Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham, who's just I forgot he's like
He's
crazy tall.
yeah, he's like 6'6" or
I
6'7".
think yeah, so it's like that, and I Carey Mulligan must be like 5'2" because like I think there's even like a joke in the film about like how huge he is, but um, it's it's a film, and I didn't love the ending, and I could understand both ways. Either you like it or you don't. That's sort of how it's going to come off for a lot of people, but it is worth watching for sure. So that's that. God forbid if Trial wins.
Yeah, please no.
Uh, Minari, I would that would warm my heart. I don't know where it really fits in here,
Right.
uh, but that's one I really liked as well, as long with the other three. But
Mm-hmm.
that's best original screenplay. That'll be interesting to follow that category, especially if Trial pulls off.
Yeah. Well, it's
No,
probably gonna. Who knows?
we'll see.
Okay, so the next one we have up is Best Supporting Actor.
Mm.
And the nominees are Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago 7, Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, and Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. I hate that they did that to Judas. I don't know why they have two of these guys for supporting and neither one as a lead.
Yeah.
Um,
I yeah, we can get into this. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I think they're both leads here.
yeah.
Um, even though I think there's less of a case for Lakeith Stanfield for his character to be considered a supporting actor than there is Daniel Kaluuya, because uh, at least there, like when his character goes to jail and he is really true. I mean, the story is about him and his life, but he is gone for a large majority of it. So I do like maybe see like the case for why he would be considered a supporting actor here, but the Lakeith Stanfield thing just doesn't really make sense in this
Oh.
category at all. I don't.
No, I don't.
So
Not to me. And then you're like splitting votes then at that point between two
right,
fantastic performances. So you're kind of
right,
limiting your chance of winning for either one.
right.
So, man, well, I think that I just have to think that Daniel Kaluuya just gave such a magnetic and amazing performance that I would think he would have to be the favorite here.
Yeah, you're right. This is a really big favorite for the night. This is -3,000, so
Damn.
meaning you have to you have to put down $3,000 to win 100. So
Wow.
big stake there. It's pretty much wrapped up. I'll just maybe say I was kind of excited to see a couple, like I don't know so much. Again, Sacha Baron Cohen, like it would be just wild if he just swept with both like Trial plus Borat. Like he comes home with like 10 like Academy
Uh,
Awards. Like I mean, it won't happen, but it would just in another world.
yeah.
But the one I was kind of excited to see here was the Paul Raci from Sound of
Yeah,
Metal,
me too.
and it was my favorite part about the film, and I was so excited to see it here. And I know you really enjoyed this film. Do you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, I think it was like my number 2 favorite film
Yeah,
of last year, and I just absolutely loved it. It's a beautiful piece
did I lose you?
of art, and like it just explores a lot of things that we don't normally explore, and it takes a lot of chances, and it just tells the story using a lot of things, especially like the sound design, which we'll get into maybe at some point. But it's a heartbreaking film, and I love the character arcs of it, and the ending I think is beautiful. And Paul Raci is one of the best parts of it. I mean, Riz Ahmed is like one of our great young actors, and for Paul Raci, who I didn't really recognize, before this. I don't know. I maybe have seen him and stuff, but just for him to just like his performance like stands out.
Famous character actor.
Yeah, I don't recognize him. So but that's on me. And yeah, it's just it stinks for Lakeith that he's stuck in here, and but it's Daniel Kaluuya's world, and we're just living in it at this point this year. So
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, you were cutting out a little bit, but yeah, I we didn't get a chance to talk about. I really enjoyed Sound of Metal. I just recently saw it a couple weeks ago, and I was really interested to learn that Paul Raci's uh, parents were both deaf, and
hmm,
so he had the kind of extensive background within like the deaf community, and has struggled with alcohol, and so that was like a very like him like maybe playing himself almost, and
hmm,
it showed because he was incredible. But yeah, very cool. Uh, but yeah, this is we did a whole episode on Judas, and
yeah.
this is Mark It Down. So it's a good one to put in a parlay. We won't get into parlays, but
We don't have time. Watch Uncut Gems if you want to know more. So
right here, I get the tip.
all right. Next category we have here is Best Director. We have Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. Ooh. I don't think Chloe grabs it. I don't think Thomas will grab it just because Another Round isn't like a super huge one. But it's the Academy, so what are we thinking, Luke? Um,
I love you like just trying to navigate some of these films you haven't seen.
that I haven't seen, yeah.
Like, well, I mean, it must be really tough for them, you know?
Yeah, I feel their pain right now. I get
Yeah,
it, you
like,
know?
I watched a bunch of movies this year. What are all these? Like,
Yeah, wow.
I'm an Academy of voter.
um, I'm gonna guess that part of me thinks I think it's between Fincher and Fennell. Um, let's say Fennell. Let's say Emerald Fennell is the favorite.
Okay. Uh, that's it's not looking that way. This is another big. This is a heavy favorite for Chloe Zhao,
Really?
with Nomadland. So she is -3,000 here.
Damn.
Our boy Fincher is coming in at 9-1. Emerald Fennell is 20-1, 20-1, 25-1 for Lee Isaac Chung and Thomas Winterberg. So once again, this is heavily favored for another win for Nomadland. And I guess we'll see. We might talk a little bit about Another Round a little bit later on. That's a film I just recently watched and I really enjoyed. But we can save that for another category too.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Chloe. I'm sorry to throw you under the bus right away. But
Don't listen to Luke. He doesn't need to be South Dakota resident for an
like that, they have a seat.
Backstory, right?
Yeah.
Like one of them's got to have like a small town, like Smallville roots, right? Just throw us in there.
Even just like
back the diner.
I mean, even if I'm not in it, yeah, just at a coffee shop or a bookstore with the resident slacker, that's you all day. I think it casts itself, really. Okay.
Yeah.
Now coming into the old legs category.
Right.
Best documentary feature. And the nominees are The Mole Agent, Collective, My Octopus Teacher, Crip Camp, and Time. I'm going to say that I haven't seen any of these films. But I know that you've talked a lot about My Octopus Teacher, so I'm going to guess that's the favorite based on that. So
nice. See, yours truly has a good taste, and
especially with documentaries,
is an incredible film. Man falls in love with an octopus. Just the octopus teaches him how to be a man. He learns to come back to the real world from the octopus. The octopus gives him everything that he needs to go back. It's a really good film. I've seen a couple other ones here. Both Time and Crip Camp are good. I've had a real hard time staying awake. They are full on, gotta be locked in movies. Collective, I want to see. I think it's a sort of like kind of journalism movie, which I'm like weirdly always like really into. So I want to see that. And then Mole Agent, I have not gotten to yet. So go see Octopus Teacher. I think Time is really good. And I'm planning to finish it soon. And then I thought sort of the same thing around with Crip Camp, but just go experience it. It's a wonderful, wonderful time. Please. The only reason we're doing this category is so I can talk about it more.
Yeah.
So
is
so I can return to the cold.
So is My Octopus Teacher, is that the favorite?
Yeah, it's a favorite. Yeah, okay. The best documentary of the year.
It's the best.
It's the best. I think
it's the best octopus movie of the year. Would you say?
Yeah, there's
stiff competition.
It's a fierce category, but yeah, I think right now it's one for me.
Yeah, it's number one, but it's just one man's opinion,
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So the next category we have on the list here is Best Supporting Actress. Amanda Seyfried in Mank, Olivia Colman in The Father, Yao Yun-jun for Minari, Maria Bakalova for Borat, subsequent movie film, and Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy.
God.
Yeah. So, I think that at this point, Olivia Colman has some clout with Oscar voters. She won for The Favorite a couple years ago, and she's kind of become um, a dramatic darling. But for me personally, I think that this is between Amanda Seyfried and Yoon, because I think at least for I think we both kind of said for Mank that Amanda Seyfried really stood out in Mank as just giving a performance that I haven't really seen her give. It was really something else. And but Yoon as the grandmother, as the Korean grandmother, was so great. Is really the heart of Minari in a film with so much heart. So I think it's between those two, and it's tough. I don't know which way to go, but I'm just gonna go with. I think, boy, I think Amanda Seyfried's probably the favorite, but I want Yoon to win so bad.
Sort of on the right track here. You do have it that Yoon Jun Yo is the favorite. She's minus
Damn.
500. It's looking good for her. And I think it is the best supporting. I said that I really enjoyed Amanda Seyfried, and I think she did sort of steal the show
Mm-hmm.
uh, with Mank, which is not an easy thing to do considering. I mean, Gary Oldman is really going for it, and that's just like a really boisterous character that he's playing there.
Yeah.
But man, like Maria Bakalova is so good in the Borat film, and it's so weird how Borat of all the things has sort of transcended comedy. Um, it is essentially at its roots. It owes a lot to Jackass, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But in these years, we've sort of come to appreciate, like, no, Sacha Baron Cohen, he's not a prankster. He's like this very high-minded, intelligent individual, and I'm sure it's all true, but it's just like it's funny how like those two things are so closely intertwined, right?
Right.
Um, like something like Jackass, something like Borat, but Borat, wow, has it really like come through here? So, um,
That's a good point. We haven't really, I don't think we talked about it much, but I think that Maria, her performance was the one that really stood out to me in the
yeah,
sequel. She really added a lot to it.
like the dance, I just like killed me. That's one of my favorite scenes of the year. Like the yeah, it's so I would be happy with either of them, but I do think that we're gonna see a win for Minari here. A little disclosure here: I tried with Hillbilly Elegy just because I'm like, okay, like let's see what the Glenn Close thing is about,
Yeah.
and sure, she's like walking around her yard with a nightgown and a cigarette in her mouth. Okay. Hillbilly Elegy is worse than what you heard.
Wow.
It is intolerable. Like I couldn't do it. I was so repulsed by the music, the constant uh, um, voiceover narrative. Like it's not good, and I
Mm.
did not like. I 26 minutes. Anyone who tells you oh no, I watched Hillbilly for Glenn Close, I think it's a stunning performance. Like fuck you, lying, 1,000% lying. It's entered that everyone that says that they've seen Hillbilly LG is probably lying about it. That's in Godfather 3. Like that's
Okay.
my thing.
That's your take. All right. Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way. So our next category is international. Yeah. Is international feature film. So we have The Man Who Sold His something, Collective.
His skin. Can you not get the full title?
Yeah, and there we go. It didn't read it out to me, so I just said he sold something of his that he owned. Collective, Kovadi Saida, Better Days, and Another Round. I'm going to throw this over to you because I have seen exactly 0 of these yet again. So
It's not a good look for you tonight, Luke. Like, call yourself a movie fan, man. You actually no. You should just you're just anti-establishment.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
You got a backwards hat on, like
party on, dudes.
Dude.
So I mean, you've seen 2 of these.
So Another Round. Yes, and I think Another Round is going to win. It's a pretty heavy favorite here, minus 1200. I just recently saw it, and I kind of love this film. I think it's maybe the one film from like post our sort of top 10 podcast that probably would have made my top 10. This is a film, it's basically Mad Mikkelsen and his friends in Denmark, and they decide what if there's this theory that humans are 0.05 deficient blood alcohol level. So if you maintain a 0.05 blood alcohol level, that is your peak, performance.
Just
that is
at all times.
Version of you. So they try it every day. They drink, like during the day, they go about their jobs and they just sort of report back. And it's really fascinating. It reminded me, this maybe is a little bit of a stretch because it's a different addiction, but it's actually, I have the shirt on. So it reminded me a little bit of Pineapple Express in that it's not necessarily chastising the characters for essentially being
functioning alcoholics,
but it's certainly not like a ringing endorsement to like go drink a fifth of vodka every day. And it certainly shows both sides of the coin, like what can happen between the group. But wow, I really enjoyed myself, and it's one of my favorite endings of any film this year. So I highly, highly recommend it. I thought it was really fun that it was up for Best Director too, because there's certainly some like choices being made with this film. So I recommend it. Go out and check it out if you can. I think it's I can't remember there's too many streaming services.
Yeah, you find it, Google it, you'll figure it out.
We're not that helpful of a podcast.
Yeah, do your own research. Would you say that this is on par with the Super Size Me but with whiskey sketch from the Wise Kids, Oh
my gosh. So one of my favorite parts in the film is, so everyone's doing really well at 0.05, and Mad Mikkelsen's character is like, I think I can go higher.
Of course.
And so that's where it starts to get out. That's where it starts to look like the whiskey only diet. Like, well,
yeah, I'm feeling kind of hungry, so well.
It's not a strictly whiskey diet. It's just maintaining that blood alcohol level. So, so not quite, but very good pull, because that is one of the great Wise Kids sketches of all time. Just cigarettes and whiskey.
Yep, that's his diet. Okay, it's less of a bummer than is it less of a bummer than Leaving Las Vegas as far as like a drinking movie?
Yeah, it is. It's so I this is where I want you to see the movie because the ending it leaves it up in the air.
Okay.
But it does it in such like a fantastical way and such a movie making way. It's such a choice that I really loved it. And it
Mm,
kind of puts it aside, like the whole issue of the film. It's
mm,
not maybe so much about the issue. It's not saying like this is what happens when you drink every day, or you could do this if you drink every.
mm-hmm. Okay.
But an interesting film. So
Okay. All right. And now we're on to Best Actress. So we have Andra Day for the United States versus Billy. Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman. Carrie Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And Frances McDormand for Nomadland. Oh boy. Did you see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom?
I did. I did.
Okay. We
Um,
could maybe talk about that a little bit if you wanted to.
okay.
Um,
Right.
well, I'm trying to think of that. Maybe I should make my pick first. Since Nomadland is apparently more of a favorite than I was maybe anticipated coming into this, maybe Frances McDormand is the favorite here, but
Going with the poop bucket.
the shit bucket I think might do it. Yeah, and she frees the nips. Again, I haven't seen Promising Young Woman, but I've heard good things. And I don't really. I'll say Frances McDormand. I think.
Okay. Um, it's not a bad guess. So this is probably going to be one of the closest categories of the night. There's no choice here is gonna you're not gonna have to lay down money. So this is a really interesting kind of betting one. But Carrie Mulligan is the favorite right now for Promising Young Woman, but she's sitting at plus 125, so it's a pretty good price there for a favorite. Honestly, if it goes chalk, Viola Davis is next at plus 175, and Frances McDormand is plus 400 for Nomadland. And the other two, Andre Day and Vanessa Kirby, are longer shots. So I don't think we'll see anything there. But I I don't know. Did we talk about Pieces of a Woman? Have you seen that film?
No, mm-mm, neither.
Okay. Uh, wow. So that that movie has one of the probably the scariest 30 minutes of any film I saw in 2020.
Ooh,
Uh, the the home birth scene. I don't know if you're like familiar with this at all. It's terrifying, and
ugh.
I'm actually surprised that there wasn't. I mean, it's maybe not the most consistent like performance, like top to bottom, like some of these films are. Uh, but as far as like just a like an isolated chunk of a film, like if it was like best scene, I think it has to be Vanessa Kirby from Pieces of Woman in here because it is just terrifying. And it's in the first like 15 minutes of the film that there's just
Mm,
this horrible, horrible, like worst case scenario home birth. It's like 35 minutes long. It is
mm.
something. It's intense.
Is it a
Uh,
horror film?
no, it's just bad birth. It's got Vanessa Kirby and well, my guy used to be my guy Shia LaBeouf, and
mm,
you got Shia LaBeouf. He's definitely a front of the bed type.
yeah.
So smart, but we'll save Shia for another day. But um,
Okay.
I don't know. Check it out. It's interesting. I know we hadn't talked about it, so I wanted to bring it up here. But
Yeah.
um, this could go any way with this category. I really think.
Yeah, I mean Viola Davis's performance is very showy, um, but Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I really wanted to like that more than I did. I sort of had a hard time with it. Um,
It's more of a series of monologues.
exactly, it's just so clearly based on a play. Like it's just like, yeah, we're basically just watching a play right now, which is fine sometimes. But you're right, it's just a series of monologues, and it's just very very talky and very play heavy, and that doesn't always translate well in a movie form.
Right.
And it's just sort of like lets the actors be very showy, so they're just saying a lot of things that a normal person wouldn't say, and they're talking things out and emoting very in this huge, over exaggerated way that's just you kind of is needed for the stage, but it doesn't always work on screen as well. So it was kind of, I thought the performances, they were all going for it, and Viola Davis, I don't know if it was a fat suit or if she really put on the weight, but she looked like a sweaty, big lady, and she was great in it, but yeah, I guess I just kind of wanted a little bit. Yeah, I guess I wasn't expecting it to be just a series of monologues. So,
Yeah, I enjoyed the performances both from her and Chadwick Boseman. Uh,
mhm,
but the film didn't really work for me as a whole. I sort of like was kind of I thought maybe they could remedy just kind of the talkiness of it by having it be more of a musical. It's a musical film,
mhm,
but it's not really like a musical. And I know that would like probably turn off some people. I am like a musical guy, so I like not like musical guy, but like I like musicals. So I was kind of hoping for that, and I didn't. You don't really get it.
yeah,
But it would be kind of crazy if she didn't win for lip singing, because that is, if we've learned anything, it's that the Academy loves if you can lip sing
yep,
the famous thing that's ever been done.
yep, that's very true.
Freddie Mercury never never forget Rami Malek, man. Uh,
Gross. I'll never watch that movie again. I just won't ever see it. Well, Rami Malek won Best Actor, so let's move on to that category. So the nominees are Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Riz Ahmed for The Sound of Metal, Stephen Yeun for Minari, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Gary Oldman for Mank. Um, I agree with you, Chadwick. I really enjoyed his performance, and it was kind of sad to see him really skinny, in this performance, and him struggling with cancer. And he had that monologue where he was kind of lashing out against God, and it was just sort of, um, it was sort of touching in a way, and just very sad. Stephen Yeun is great again in Minari. I love that he got a nom here. Gary Oldman, the Oscars already did him a favor, so that was long overdue. So I don't think they're going to give him another one. But I think for me, it's Riz Ahmed. I think to me, he's the clear favorite here.
okay. So this is heavily favored for Chadwick Boseman,
Really?
and I'm assuming this is, it's not my favorite Chadwick Boseman performance, and I honestly think I like him even just a little bit more in The Five Bloods.
Same.
Um, but as far as like this is sort of the last time to honor somebody, and like you were saying, like I think had we not known he was sick, like you would look at a performance like that and be like, wow, like I mean, he is like, he's Black Panther, like he's a huge human being, like this larger
Hmm.
thing, and then he's like really whittled down in this, and it's not because he's made this transformation. It's just because he's very sick, and it's too bad. Like I said, the performance, the monologue when he's talking about like the history of his family
Yeah,
and what happened to his parents, and then all the way through to the end, which doesn't work for me at
me
all.
either.
But again, like the performance is there. It's not like a knock on his thing. It's more of just the movie just kind of falls short in that sense. So, but he's a big favorite here. Anthony Hopkins is second, and then your boy Riz is 14-1. So maybe
Maybe still a chance. That's what I'm putting my money on, guys.
it's not a bad bet, right? I mean,
That's what I think.
crazy. So.
All right, and on to the big boy here. The Best Picture nominees, our last category here. The nominees are Sound of Metal, Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Trial of the Chicago Seven, and Nomadland. Boy. Um, this is tricky. It's got to be Trial, right? Trial is the favorite for everybody in the political climate. Uh, I would absolutely love it if Minari won or if Sound of Metal won, but Nomadland's apparently got a lot of heat, so maybe that might be the favorite. I don't really think. I feel like Mank probably is not the favorite. Um, Judas and the Black Messiah would be up there for me, but I don't think the Academy would. I don't know if that's would be their favorite. Um, I'm gonna say I think that based on the evidence that I think probably Nomadland is probably the favorite here.
So you are correct.
Okay.
It's a pretty strong favorite right now. So minus 600, which is pretty a pretty good lead. I think you'd be shocked to hear that the number two in polling position right now is Chicago Seven.
Really,
It would be wild if Trial of the Chicago. It actually wouldn't be that wild
it would
because
fit in. Yeah,
it would very much fit in with the we do Moonlight one year. Oh my God, the Academy is back, and then next year Green Book, and then
yeah.
it's like
And
even
last year we had Parasite.
incredible
Yeah,
film. The Academy's back, and then we go back to Trial of the Chicago Seven. Trial of the Chicago Seven is not a good movie. We haven't talked about it on this pod.
yep.
Uh, One of my least favorite. I don't know what Eddie Redmayne is doing. Like the, the
We're
Chicago or the Midwest accent he has.
we're let it be known that we're coming to Chicago. But whether they give us the permits or not, we're gonna be coming peacefully. But whether they give it to us or not, we're coming.
I can't like I can't do it. And I mean Jeremy Strong and once again Sacha Baron Cohen. I mean they're there and they're the best part of the movie, but they're just
Yeah,
in a movie, and I don't.
totally.
None of it works for me.
No,
Uh,
and like the timing was weird when it came out. I mean, it was bad timing, and I know that this was sort of like this was Aaron Sorkin's like baby. Like he's been trying to get this movie made for years, for like a decade, and yeah, exactly. SMH is right. I mean, I don't know why. It's just so it just is pandering so hard, and it's just like a sledgehammer as a nutcracker. I mean, it's just like we get it, all right. It's just so just and like all the worst parts about Aaron Sorkin's dialogue are on full display here. Like normally it's like, yeah, it's fun to chop it up and hear like Aaron Sorkin, but at this point it's like, we get it, all right, we get it. You're smart, you know a lot of big words. Like let's just cram them all in here. I just
Yeah.
It's just not, and it's extremely uneven. Yeah, I didn't. That was a tough one to sit through.
Yeah. I would be shocked if it wasn't Nomadland here. I would be I'd be very touched if it was Minari. Minari and My Octopus Teacher were the two films from my top 10 list that were featured here in the Academy. So I would certainly love to see it come home with something. I don't know if it's going to be this category. If it doesn't happen for supporting actress, I don't know where Minari fits in. So I'm hoping it's somewhere. I just don't think it's going to be here. And there was some early make momentum, I think, but maybe that was a lot of nothing came out yet.
Right.
And we get really excited about David Fincher, but
yeah, I thought that Defy Bloods would have more actor noms than it did.
Yeah.
Because some of those were really good.
I was trying to think of other snubs. I guess we didn't really go over that, but
because
from the Five Bloods, I thought for sure for at least
totally.
And then I can't really think of who else would be in that snub category, but all in all, I think it's not the worst year for film, but it is going to be interesting, I think. So
yeah, it'll be this Sunday, so
this Sunday.
Check it out.
Mark it down. Personally, I'll be watching it on my second screen.
Right.
If you loyal listeners remember from our top 10 list, one of my top 10 films came from Oscar night with the Oscar special. So hopefully we get 10 movies this year that make my list.
Yeah. Hopefully it's better.
So
even if it's Kong, even if it's Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat,
Right now we're looking at Kong is way up there. I Care a Lot is an early favorite, but it is number one and I love it.
Oh, all right. We have a lot to discuss.
I'm gonna go wire to wire. Number one.
Well, tune into that, loyal listeners, and hopefully this helps you put some money down on the Oscars this year. Tune in. It's an okay time. But we'll be there, and you can follow us. Find me on Twitter at LukeLarson89. Find this podcast at L Squared Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, or on Facebook at L2 Podcast. Check us out. You can listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube at L Squared Podcast. Let us know what you think of the Oscars, what you want to win, or don't. Do whatever you want. But drop us a like, follow us, and until next time.
Peace.